allerseits?
Let us open with a prayer.
Lasst uns mit Gebet öffnen. Lieber Vater im Himmel, wir wollen dir danken, dass wir jetzt dein Wort öffnen können. Und ich möchte bitten, dass du uns hilfst, es zu verstehen. Und dass wir auch verstehen werden, wie wir das in unserem praktischen Leben anwenden. Und ich möchte bitten, dass du mit den Brüdern sind, die die Klasse leiten. Und bitte sei mit unseren Geschwistern, die nicht hier mit uns sein können. In Jesu Namen. Amen.
Alright, let us turn to Zechariah chapter 1.
So, lasst uns Zechariah Kapitel 1 aufschlagen.
Okay, so let us read verses 8 to 11 again.
Und wir lesen die Versen 8 bis 11.
And Marius, you want to read those verses off, please? 8 to 11.
I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom. And behind him were there red horses speckled and white. Then said I, O my Lord, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said unto me, I will show thee what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are they whom the Lord has sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel and the Lord that stood among the myrtle trees and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sitteth still and is at rest.
Yes, okay. So, where does verse 11 bring us to?
So, wo bringt uns Vers 11 hin?
Yes, right?
Zu der kleinen Zeit des Friedens.
So, because it says the whole earth is at still and is at rest. Right?
Das sagt, die ganze Erde ist still und in Ruhe.
Okay. And how many horses do we have?
Und wie viele Pferde haben wir?
Four horses. Right?
4 Pferde.
Okay, so basically, therefore, it's this time or this time, right?
So, dementsprechend ist es diese Zeit hier oder auch diese Zeit hier.
And when we read now verse 12,
Und wenn wir Vers 12 jetzt lesen,
Philip, you want to read verse 12 for us?
Then the angel of the Lord answered and said, O Lord of hosts, how long wilt thou not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which thou hast had indignation these 70 years?
Okay. Alright, so therefore, what does it give us here according to verse 12?
so was gibt uns das hier, gemäß Vers 12?
70 years,
Die
right?
70 Jahre.
So Zacharias, he's standing like John, like Daniel, and like probably all of the prophets or most of the other prophets,
So,
standing at this waymark.
Zechariah, genauso wie Johannes und Daniel und wahrscheinlich alle die Propheten, steht hier an dieser Wegmarke.
Okay, and you have then these 4 horses.
Dann gibt es diese 4 Pferde.
Okay, and we understand, right? What other 4 horses do we have?
Und was für andere 4 Pferde haben wir hier?
Yes, first 4 seals,
Die
right?
ersten 4 Siegel.
And it brings you then here to the end of the 70.
Und das bringt uns hier zu Ende der 70 Jahre.
And then you have the 5th seal, and then you have this question here: how long?
Also In der kleinen Zeit des Friedens gibt es der 5. Siegel und hier an der Finaluntersuchung und diese Wegmarke hat man die Frage, wie lange?
And they also ask the question, how long?
In the fifth, yes,
seal.
exactly.
What was that? Ja.
They also ask the question in the fifth seal, how long?
Und innerhalb der 5. Siegel fragen sie auch, wie lange?
Okay, so Zechariah is standing on this waymark here. Okay.
Zechariah steht gerade an diese Wegmarke hier.
Okay, and all right. And now let's jump down to verse 18
Jetzt Vers 18 wollen wir
to
lesen.
verse 21.
18 bis 21.
And Fiona, you want to read this first, please?
Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said unto the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the 10 horns which have scattered,
Not 10, the horns.
the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. The Lord showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, What come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head, but these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horns over the land of Judah to scatter it.
Yes, okay.
It's the same 4 insects. It's the same thing in Joel, right? These 4 insects I will restore to you.
Yes.
Also dasselbe wie in Joel, diese 4 Insekten, die er wiederherstellen wird, was sie gefressen haben.
Okay, so Zechariah stands here, and what does he see?
So, Zechariah steht hier und was sieht er?
He looks in the past, right?
Er schaut in die Vergangenheit hinein
And he sees these 4 horns that scattered during these 70 years.
und er sieht diese 4 Hörner, die zerstreut haben während dieser 70 Jahre Periode hier.
Okay, but now basically he's then shown these 4 carpenters.
Aber jetzt hier wird gezeigt, diese 4 Zimmermänner.
And these, obviously these 4 carpenters are there to build up the temple.
Und diese 4 Zimmermänner sind da, um den Tempel aufzubauen.
Okay, and I want to quote now a quote.
Ich möchte ein Zitat posten.
Just quickly get it. Okay. Can maybe somebody translate it quickly into German, please? I will post it now. Okay. So basically here Ellen White explains who these 4 carpenters are.
So hier erklärt uns Ellen White, wer diese 4 Zimmermänner sind.
Okay, it says, next the prophet sees the powers. Okay, thank you. Next the prophet sees the powers that had scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem, symbolized by 4 horns. Immediately afterward, he sees 4 carpenters, representing the agencies used by the Lord in restoring his people and the house of his worship, as decreed by Cyrus and his successors, as well as by God himself. Okay, so what are the 4 carpenters?
So was sind diese 4 Zimmermänner?
Cyrus to Artaxerxes.
Yes, exactly.
Also Kyros bis Artaxerxes.
And God himself, it says.
Und
right?
es sagt Gott selbst.
So, when we go now to, what is it, Ezra,
So, wenn wir jetzt zum Buch Ezra gehen,
keep your finger here in Zechariah,
so haltet den Platz hier in Zechariah.
let's go to Ezra chapter 6,
Also Ezra Kapitel 6.
and let's read verse 14.
Und Vers 14 wollen wir lesen.
There we see basically the same thought. Okay.
Und hier können wir denselben Gedanke erkennen.
David, I think it's your turn.
What verse?
14.
And the elders of Jerusalem built it, and they prostrated with the prophesying of Haggai the prophet, and Zechariah the son of Edo. And they built it and finished it. according to the commandment of the God of Israel, and according to the commandment of Cyrus and Darius and Artaxerxes king of Persia.
Yes, okay, so it says here the house was built based upon this commandment of God and then the commandment of the three kings, right?
Sagt hier, dass der Haus gebaut würde auf dem Befehl Gottes und aber auch auf den Befehl von diesen 3 Königen hier.
So basically, these are illustrating this work of these 4 carpenters.
Also das stellt dieses Werk von diesen 4 Zimmermännern dar.
Because who was a carpenter in the Bible?
Denn wer war ein Zimmermann in der Bibel? Christ.
Christ, right?
Christus selbst.
And these 3 kings, Cyrus, Darius and Artaxerxes, whom are they illustrating?
Und diese 3 Könige, Kyros, Darius und Artaxerxes, wem stellen sie dar?
Yes, Christ, right?
Christus.
It's the work of Christ.
Das ist das Werk von Christus.
So,
Yes, they're the anointed ones, right?
yes.
Das ist wohl richtig, dass die stellen Christus dar, aber die sind auch die Gesalbten.
So in this sense, yeah, that's how I would understand these 4 carpenters is then this work of raising up the temple by these 4 carpenters.
So in dem Sinne, so werde ich diese 4 Zimmermänner verstehen. Das sind diejenigen, die das Tempel aufbauen.
I wonder if that would be Christ, Moses, Elijah, and Enoch then. Because it's the only ones you know for definite that are there, right?
Ich stelle mir die Frage, ob das jetzt die Christus, Mose, Elia und Henoch wären, denn das sind nur die 4, die wir auf jeden Fall wissen, da im Himmel sind.
Yes, maybe. Okay, but my question is now, how
Meine
do
Frage
you
wäre
guys
jetzt,
understand this? Because it says here, when we go back to verse, in verse 12 it says, right, how long, and it speaks about these 70 years in the past.
so wir sind zurück in Sekaja und in Vers 12, die Frage wird gestellt, wie lange, und es bezieht sich auf diese Zeit hier in der Vergangenheit.
And let us then read, just continue verse 13 down to verse 17.
Und wir lesen jetzt die Verse 13 bis 17.
Sister Sui? Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1, 13 to 17, please.
And the Lord answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that
Communed.
communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus says the Lord of hosts, I am jealous of Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they have forward the affliction. Therefore thus says the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, my house shall be built, and it, said the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. For I yet say, thus said the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the Lord shall yet comfort Zion, shall yet choose Jerusalem.
Okay, thank you. So, my question is now, how you understand this?
Meine Frage wäre, wie wir das jetzt verstehen.
Here in verse 16, right?
Vers 16.
It says, Therefore thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. So, where would you mark this?
So, wo würden wir das markieren?
So, would this now start right here, or would it start right here?
So, würde das denn hier anfangen oder hier?
Because he's in the past, telling where he is in the present, and he's telling what he's going to do in the future. So it's
Yes.
not happening right there.
Er steht in die Gegenwart und sagt, was in der Vergangenheit geschehen ist und was in die Zukunft passieren wird.
The Bible always explains itself, right?
Yes.
Aber auch die Bibel erklärt sich selbst.
It's in Revelation 11.
Die Antwort finden wir in Offenbarung 11.
Because these 4 carpenters are the 4 cherubs, right?
Diese 4 Zimmermänner sind auch die 4 Cherubim.
Right? Because they're the ones that hold the winds, right?
Yes.
Denn die sind diejenigen, die die Winde halten.
They frame the horns, yes.
Yes, and Revelation 11, right, because the 4 carpenters are the ones that's controlling the 4 halls.
Die 4 Zimmermänner sind diejenigen, die die 4 Hörner kontrollieren.
In Revelation 11, verse 1,
Offenbarung 11, Vers 1.
there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar of them that worship them. It's the beginning of the 1260, where the 2 witnesses go forward there.
Das ist der Anfang von der 1260, wo die
So
2
this
Zeugen,
would be in this illustration.
Yes, the Son of
Vorangehen.
God, Christ.
das wäre dann in den Sonntagsgesetzkrisen.
Yes, I would also see it like this, because I think Brother Fjord, he brought it up last time.
Ich glaube, Bruder Fjodor hat das zuletzt erwähnt.
When we go to Revelation 17
Wenn wir zur Offenbarung 17 gehen,
and read verse 8.
Vers 8 lesen. Offenbarung 17, 8.
It says, The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit.
Yes.
Right? So, where's John standing here in Revelation 17?
In Offenbarung 17, wo steht Johannes?
1798.
1798.
Stands here at the final review,
So,
right?
er steht hier zur finalen Untersuchung.
So, and he sees the beast that was,
Er sieht den Tier, der war.
so that's therefore the past,
Das ist der Vergangenheit.
was. Then present
Also der Gegenwart
is not,
ist nicht.
and then future,
Und dann
Shall arise.
die Zukunft
yes,
wird
Gut.
heraufkommen.
shall ascend.
Shall ascend.
So here you have this shall, and in Zechariah 1 we read, he shall build the temple.
So, hier hat man dieses wird und in Zechariah steht geschrieben, dass er wird den Tempel aufbauen.
When we go back to Zechariah 1 verse 16,
Wenn wir zurück zu Zechariah 1 gehen und Vers 16,
just let's read it once more. It says, Therefore thus saith the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies, my house shall be built in it, saith the Lord of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. So therefore this, he stands here, and shall will be then in this time. Okay.
also er steht hier und wird ist hier in der Zukunft.
Okay, and here shall.
Er wird.
And what begins here in the fractal level,
Und was fängt hier an am Fraktalebene?
based in context of verse 16?
Im Zusammenhang mit Vers 16.
So what are you asking now, sir?
The judgment, investigative judgment.
Yes, the investigative
It's when he
judgment.
comes back. That's why I had in mind, maybe I'm wrong, but it says, I am returned to Jerusalem. So he led out a little way and then he left him and went back to his father. Here.
No,
Yeah.
oh,
No, it's about the line that is stretched forth.
Ja, es ist über die Linie, die
So
ausgelegt wird.
so when the line is stretched forth, this is now when you're measured, right?
So wenn die Linie ausgestreckt wird, da wirst du gemessen.
Okay, so and therefore this is when he shall measure. Okay.
Das ist, wenn er messen wird.
What's I don't know if you're going to maybe you're going to mention this different. No, just mention it because maybe it's the second witness. But when he gets, he's at the 5th day of the 4th month, right?
Er ist am
Zechariah.
5. Tag des 4. Monats, Zechariah.
You mean line upon line?
Yes.
Yes.
Linie.
Because he says, then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, behold, 4 horns. That's what Zechariah. That's what Ezekiel. That's what Ezekiel saw, right?
That's the 4 whirlwind.
He
The
saw the
whirlwind.
whirlwind, right?
Yes, yes.
Also
Which is the 4
Hesekiel
winds.
hat diese Wirbelsturm gesehen, was die 4 Winde ist.
And I said to the angel, told me, what be these? And the answer said, these are the horns which are scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem, past tense. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters. That's the cherubims now that's controlling these 4 winds,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
And it says, but these are come to flay them and to cast the horns, right? So,
Mhm. Yes, okay, maybe for everybody that everybody can follow better, we can just go into these things a little bit more closely.
Also, so dass jeder mitfolgen kann, können wir das ein bisschen näher anschauen.
Okay, so maybe why are the four horns here the four winds?
So, warum sind die vier Hörner hier auch gleich die vier Winde?
Okay,
6.
okay, yes. Okay, I rather wanted to go first to the book of Revelation. Let's go to Revelation chapter 9.
Lass uns zu Offenbarung 9 gehen.
We want to look at now why the four horns represent the four winds.
Wir wollen schauen, wo die vier Hörner die vier Winde darstellen.
Okay, let's read verse 13.
Vers 13.
And I think Sister Sandra, it's your turn.
And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar which was before God.
Yes, okay. So, which altar is it?
So, welcher Altar ist das?
The golden altar, which is the altar of incense,
Das
right?
goldene Altar, und das ist der Altar der Räucherwerk.
And how many horns does it have?
Und wie viele Hörner hat es?
Four horns, right?
4.
Okay. Let's go to, keep your finger in Revelation, let's go to Exodus chapter 25 or 26 or so.
Haltet den Platz hier und geht zum zweiten Buch Mose 25 oder 26.
It's 25.
25.
No, it's the candles. Oh, it's actually chapter 30, sorry.
Sogar Kapitel 30 ist es.
And let's read verse 1 and 2.
Und wir lesen Verse 1 und 2.
And Demi, you want to read those for us, please?
Thou shalt make an altar to burn incense upon. Of shittim wood shalt thou make it. Cubit shall be the length thereof, and cubit the breadth thereof. 4 square shall it be, and 2 cubits shall be the height thereof. The horns thereof shall be of the same.
Yes. Okay. So what did it have?
Was hat es? Was hatte es?
It had horns, right?
Es hatte 4 Hörner.
That's not the verse I was looking for. Do you remember where the verse is where it says it's on the 4 corners?
What did you just read? Exodus 25.
No, I read Exodus 30. But
Exodus 27.
yes, do you have the verse? Ah, yeah, verse 2.
Vers 2.
Yes, that's the altar of burnt offering. Okay.
So, zweite Buch Mose 27, Vers 2.
That's brass.
Yes. Okay, Daniela, you want to read this for? Well, let's read verse 1 and 2.
Die Verse 1 und 2.
And thou shalt make an altar, shittim wood, 5 cubits long and 5 cubits broad. The altar shall be 4 square, and the height thereof shall be 3 cubits. And thou shalt make the horns that sit upon the 4 corners thereof. His horns shall be of the same, and thou shalt overlay it with brass.
Yes, okay, so
And 38 verse 2 is also about the second.
38 verse 2.
38 verse 2.
38, Vers 2.
Yes. Also speaks about the altar of burnt offering. Right? It says, and he made the horns thereof on the four corners of it. The horns thereof were of the same, and he overlaid it with brass. So these horns are on the four corners. Right?
Diese Hörner, die befinden sich an den 4 Ecken.
And let's go to Leviticus chapter 4.
Lass uns zum 3. Buch Mose Kapitel 4 gehen.
Leviticus chapter 4. And let's read verse 7.
3. Buch Mose 4 und Vers 7.
And Sister Mary, when you're there, you can read it for us.
And the priest shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar as of sweet incense before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour all the blood of the bullock at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation.
Yes, okay, so what was the priest to do
So, was soll der Priest tun?
with the horns?
Mit die Hörner.
Put blood on
Put blood on top, right?
Blut
So-
aufgeben.
And this White has this vision, right? When the 4 angels are about to loose the 4 winds,
Und Ellen White hat eine Vision, wo diese 4 Engel davor stehen, diese 4 Wände loszulassen.
and what does Jesus say?
Was sagt Jesus?
Yes. Yeah. He says 4 times my blood.
Er sagt 4-mal mein Blut.
So therefore he puts his blood on these 4 horns of the altar
Da tut er sein Blut auf diese 4 Hörner des Altars.
because they were at the corner of the altar, right?
Sie waren an den Ecken von den Altaren.
Let's go now to Revelation 7.
Lasst uns jetzt zur Offenbarung 7 gehen.
Because now we can see what else is at the corner of the altar.
Jetzt können wir auch sehen, was sich in den Ecken vom Altar befindet.
Let's read verse 7. Verse 1, sorry, chapter 7, verse 1.
Kapitel 7 und Vers 1.
Bemerkt wird.
Yes, sorry, I was miles away thinking, what is that really?
Revelation 7, verse 1.
Okay, sorry. It says, and after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree.
Yes. Okay, so here we have. Where do they stand?
So, wo stehen die?
4 corners.
The corners, right?
4 Ecken.
And the 4 horns were also at the 4
Corners.
corners.
4 Hörner waren auch in den 4 Ecken zu finden.
And they were about to let go, but Jesus says then, my blood, my blood, my blood, my blood.
Kurz davor loszulassen, aber Jesus rief mein Blut, mein Blut, mein Blut, mein Blut.
And these 4 angels, what do they then do?
Und diese 4 Engel, was tun die?
They then restrain the winds, right?
Die zügeln die Winde,
Okay, because of the blood.
wegen des Blutes.
And who are the 4 angels?
Und wer sind diese 4 Engel?
4 cherubim.
Yes, it's because we read when we go back to Revelation 9.
Das sind die 4 Cherubim. Wir haben in Offenbarung 9 bereits gelesen.
We read verse 13 because there you have the 4 horns on the altar. Okay.
Wir haben Vers 13 gelesen, dann da haben wir die 4 Hörner am Altar.
It says, and the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. So, what happens now with the 4 angels here?
So, was geschieht mit den 4 Engeln hier?
They get loosed. Okay.
Die werden losgelassen.
So, and now it's not the altar of burnt offering anymore, but the altar of,
It's the golden altar.
yes, incense.
Aber jetzt ist es nicht der Altar von Brandopfer, sondern der Altar von Räuchern.
Okay, And we just read, right, that the four horns of the altar of burnt offering were touched with the blood, right?
Wir haben gerade gelesen, dass die 4 Hörner vom Altar von Brandopfer waren mit das Blut
And also this one.
berührt.
Yes, we'll come this. Yeah. Because in Leviticus 4 verse 7 we read it, right?
Denn im 3. Buch Mose 4, Vers 7 haben wir es gelesen.
And Leviticus 4 speaks about which kind of offering.
Im 3. Buch Mose 4 spricht über was für eine Opfergabe,
Or what kind of service?
oder was für ein Dienst.
Daily.
The daily service, yes.
Das tägliche Dienst.
Okay. So, and when we look at the two desolating powers,
Und wenn wir diese 2
verwüstende Mächte,
verwüstende Mächte anschauen,
then we have the daily here, right?
dann haben wir hier das tägliche
And here we have the transgression of desolation.
und hier haben wir der Groll der Verwüstung.
Okay, yes. But up there in the line above it,
Yes?
you have it in the first fractal.
Yes. Okay, but let me just finish the thought, please. Okay, so here you have the daily, and which is the counterfeit daily, right?
Also hier haben wir das tägliche, was das Fälschung ist,
And then you have the papacy,
und
right?
dann hier haben wir den Papst.
Okay, so here this is then this wherever you have a counterfeit, you also have a true, right?
So, wo auch immer eine Fälschung ist, gibt es auch eine Wahres.
So here you have the altar of burnt offering.
Also hier hat man den Brandopferaltar
For the daily service.
für das tägliche Dienst.
But when we now go and see with the altar of incense,
Aber wenn wir jetzt den Weihrauchaltar anschauen,
when were the four horns touched with blood
On the Day of Atonement.
on the Day of Atonement?
wann waren deren 4 Hörner mit Blut berührt?
Let's go there to Leviticus 16.
Das war am Versöhnungstag. Und lass uns zum 3. Buch Mose 16 gehen.
Okay, Leviticus 16 and then let's read verse 18.
3. Buch Mose 16 und Vers 18.
It says, and he shall go out, that's the high priest, and he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord and make an atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock and of the blood of the goat and put it on the horns of the altar round about. Okay, so here we can see that on the Day of Atonement, now the horns of the golden altar were touched.
So hier können wir sehen am Versöhnungstag, dass die Hörner vom goldenen Altar mit Blut berührt werden.
And where does the Day of Atonement start?
Und wo fängt der Versöhnungstag an?
According to Leviticus 16.
Gemäß 3. Buch Mose 16.
10. Tag des 7. Monats.
Yes, but I mean on the line.
10. Tag des 7. Monats, aber auf der Linie, das wäre dann
Yes, at midnight cry, right?
hier an der Mitte noch.
So that's the Day of Atonement here.
Also Versöhnungstag hier.
The judgment of the living, and therefore it's also this altar of incense.
Deswegen ist es auch dieser Altar von Räucherwerk oder Weihrauch,
That gets touched here.
die hier berührt wird.
Was das S or
Sie.
C? Sure.
No, S. Sorry.
Okay, because when we go back to Revelation chapter 9,
Denn wenn wir zurück zur Offenbarung 9 gehen,
and verse 13 and 14,
Verse 13 und 14,
what is it speaking about?
worüber spricht es?
What is it?
Was ist es? Second War.
Yes, the second woe, right?
Die zweite Wehe.
Okay. And where do we mark the second wall and where would we mark the first wall?
Wo markieren wir den zweiten und den ersten Wehe?
Yes, the first wall is here, right?
Die erste Wehe ist hier.
Brings you down to the midnight cry, and the second wall is then here, right? From here, second wall.
Und hier von Mitternachtsrufe an fängt der zweite Wehe an.
Okay, and you can argue in a sense that you can also end it here for the first group, okay?
Man konnte bestreiten, dass man hier auch für die erste Gruppe es hier beenden konnte.
The
But
second-
the
second wall.
line shows October 22nd, the 7 trumpet sounds there, so.
Okay, so in this sense, therefore it lines up. You can see when the second wall gets loosed, it's now the altar of incense marked here.
So, hier kann man sehen, wenn der zweite Wehe gelöst wird, ist markiert den Weihrauchaltar.
Which is connected with the Day of Atonement.
Das ist in Verbindung mit der Versöhnungstag.
So, and therefore the four winds get loosed here, but do they also get restrained? at this
Also die
point?
4 Winde werden hier losgelassen, aber werden sie auch hier gezögert?
Here's the 6th seal.
Yes,
Das 6. Siegel.
because we have here the fifth seal,
Und hier haben wir den 5. Siegel
and then here the sixth seal,
und
right?
hier der 6.
And they get therefore held here.
Und die werden hier gehalten.
And this marks here this altar of incense where now the blood is put on the Day of Atonement.
Und das markiert hier den Weihrauchaltar, wo am Versöhnungstag das Blut darauf gelegt wird.
And therefore also here's another restraining taking place.
So, es gibt auch hier eine weitere Verzögerung, die stattfindet.
Okay, so can everybody follow so far?
Kann jeder soweit folgen?
Okay, good. Alright, then let's go back to Zechariah.
So, lasst uns zurück zu Zechariah gehen.
So when we go now to chapter 2,
So, wenn wir jetzt zu Kapitel 2 gehen,
and let us read now verses 1 down to verse 7.
und wir lesen die Verse 1 bis 7.
And Marius, you want to read the first 3 verses, and Philip, you can read the rest, please.
I lifted up my eyes again and looked and beheld a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Whither goest thou? And he said unto me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him.
I said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem shall be inhabited as towns without walls, for a multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, saith the Lord, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread your brothers the four walls of the heaven, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon.
Yes, okay. So Zechariah again lifts up his eyes, and what does he see now?
So, Zechariah hebt seine Augen auf und was sieht er?
A man with a measuring line.
Yes, a man with a measuring rod.
Ein Mann mit einem Maßstab.
So we just put in place, this is where the measuring begins, right?
Wir haben gerade festgestellt, dass hier fängt der Messen an.
So I was thinking then, is this man that he sees now, does he see him here, or is he seeing him here now? Because it says he has the measuring line, but he's to measure, right?
Mein Gedanke ist, sieht er den Mann mit dem Maßstab hier oder da, weil es steht, er soll messen.
Oh, he's definitely seeing forward in the future, that's for sure. Whether
Yes.
he's actually at that point is neither here nor
Also
there.
er sieht auf jeden Fall in die Zukunft ein.
Because in verse 6, right, it then speaks about ho ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north,
Denn in Vers 6
which is
The midnight cry.
the midnight cry, right?
spricht über das Mitternachtsruf.
And what is this in the middle right line?
Was ist das in Millerlinie?
Yeah, when they were to come out of Babylon.
Yes, it's the second angel's message, right?
Das zweite Engelsbotschaft
Ja,
kommt aus
because
Babylon heraus,
It's April 19th.
zum 19. April.
And we struggle sometimes sticking that there, right? But we realize that it's actually down
Yes.
this point.
Because in this sense, right, the second angel's message started its work here and said Babylon is fallen, is fallen.
So in diesem Sinne, der zweite Engelsbotschaft fing seine Arbeit hier an, indem das sagt, Babylon ist gefallen, ist gefallen.
But it's just like a parallel to the midnight cry, because at the midnight cry the second angel was just given more power. Right?
Es ist wie eine Parallel zum Mitternachtsruf, denn an der Mitternachtsruf der zweite Engel hat mehr Kraft erhalten.
So this is this ho here.
Und das ist dieses, wie ist das in Deutsch?
Auf.
Auf.
In verse 7 says, come out of Babylon.
Vers 7 sagt, es kommt aus Babylon heraus.
Okay. And let's just continue with the next verses. Let's read verse 8 down to verse 13.
Lass uns die Verse 8 bis 13 lesen.
And Peter, you can read the first 3, and David, you can read the rest, please.
For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you, for he had touched you. He that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. For behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they shall be spoiled to their servant, and ye shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord.
And many nations shall be joined to the word in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee, and I shall know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee. And the Lord shall inherit Judah his portion in the Holy Land, and shall judge Jerusalem again. Be silent, all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation.
Yes, okay. So, with verse 8 I've been struggling.
So, mit Vers 8 etwas gestrauchelt.
Because it says, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations. Right?
Nach der Herrlichkeit hat mich zu den Nationen gesandt.
So in this illustration, where would we mark this now?
So, diese Darstellung, wo werden wir das markieren?
Well, I mean, Peter has this vision that opens the way for the Gentiles. For him, there was a 9th hour, but the 6th hour marks the point where it's opened.
Yes.
Also Petrus hatte diese Vision, wo es den Weg für den Heiden aufgemacht hat. So an der 6. Stunde ist es vorangegangen.
So because if we would now take this down, right?
Denn wenn wir diese Fraktal hier unten ausdehnen würden,
Then this would be the 9th hour.
das wäre dann die 9. Stunde sein.
This would be the 6th hour, right?
Und das der 6. Stunde.
So this would be the midnight cry.
Und das hier der Mitternachtsruf.
Okay. So and we understand this is where you are sent after you saw the glory, right?
Wir verstehen, dass da wirst du gesandt, nachdem du die Herrlichkeit gesehen hast.
Because Isaiah is holy, holy, holy. He saw the glorious manifestation of the power of God. Right?
Jesaja hat heilig, 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 der hat den herrlichen Manifestationen der Kraft Gottes gesehen.
And then he was sent.
Und dann wurde er gesandt.
To Israel.
Yes, to Israel. Yes.
Zu Israel.
But in this illustration, right,
Aber hier in dieser Darstellung,
you're no longer sent to Israel.
du
Right?
bist nicht mehr zu Israel gesandt.
This is the point that was made before about the smaller line and the bigger line. I think the smaller line's internal, but when you get to the bigger line, it's more external because it's also affecting the nations, but in that little time of peace, it's this time where you're warning them. So I think that's what has to be differentiated between these different fractals, otherwise it gets confusing when you're bringing these things together.
Yes.
Also der Punkt wurde gemacht, also in den kleineren Fraktalen, es steht gerade eher das, was intern für diese bestimmte Gruppe stattfindet, aber eher auf den größeren Fraktal, das Werk ist eher, dass du warnst die Nationen. Und das muss auseinandergezogen werden und wir mussten das auf rechte Weise auf die jeweiligen Linien erkennen. Ansonsten kann es verwirrend werden.
That's because this is the shut door here for Adventism. Right?
Denn das hier ist der geschlossene Tür für den Adventismus.
After the first Sunday law crisis, now all the Adventists are done and now only can go to the Gentiles.
So, nach dem ersten Sonntagsgesetz Krise, das Werk für alle Adventisten ist abgeschlossen und das Werk geht dann nur voran für die
So
Heiden.
you can see how the midnight, the 6th hour there, should I say, is paralleling the work of the Sunday law for the Gentiles.
So, wir können sehen hier, dass der 6. Stunde hier ist parallel für das Sonntagsgesetz, also das Werk für den Heiden.
Yes. And then the promise is given, right, that basically in verse 10 and 11,
Dann die Verse 10 und 11, der Verheißung wird gegeben.
Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come and I will dwell in the midst of thee, saith the Lord. And many nations shall be joined to the Lord in that day, and shall be my people, and I will dwell in the midst of thee. And thou shalt know that the Lord of hosts hath sent me unto thee. So here you can see that now these many nations are joined unto you.
So, hier können wir sehen, dass diese vielen Nationen dir angeschlossen wird.
Yes. And the Lord shall inherit Judah, verse 12,
Vers 12.
his portion in the Holy Land, and shall choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before the Lord, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. So it speaks also when you inherit now Judah, right?
Spricht hier, wo du Juda,
Or the
erbst.
Lord inherit Judah, but it marks its inheritance here.
Also der Herr erbt Juda, aber das markiert diese Erbschaft hier.
So neither hour, but in this illustration it's here at the end.
Der 9. Stunde, aber hier in dieser Darstellung ist es am Ende.
Okay, so basically what I wanted to remind us of
So im Grunde, woran ich uns erinnern wollte,
is this illustration of these four horns,
das ist diese Darstellung von den 4 Hörnern,
that they are basically held by these 4 cherubims,
dass sie zurückgehalten werden von diesen 4 Cherubim.
and yes, and how it can be then illustrated here through Zechariah chapter 1 and chapter 2.
Und wie es hier durch Zechariah 1 und 2 dargestellt werden kann.
And basically, yeah, I wanted to really understand and place these verses here in chapter 1 correctly.
Also persönlich wollte ich diesen Versen in Kapitel 1 auf korrekte Weise auf die Linie legen.
And so we saw that Zechariah stands here.
So, wir haben gesehen, dass Zechariah hier steht.
Yeah, he stands at this little time of peace. He looks in the past, and he's now shown the future where the temple is now to be built.
So, Zechariah steht hier und er schaut in die Vergangenheit hinein und er wird in die Zukunft gezeigt, wo das Tempel gebaut werden soll.
There's also, like Ezekiel, being shown what's coming, because he sees these 4 things right there at the point he's at.
Yes.
That's like Ezekiel, he sees the 4 winds coming and he's saying, this is what's going to happen.
Und auch wie Hesekiel, Zechariah sieht diese 4 Dinge hier, die kommen werden.
Exactly. Okay, so there are many things that we really have to dig in deeper, because it's really, yeah, I'm struggling with some of these things in my mind.
Also wir müssen viel tiefer hier hineintauchen, denn es gibt vieles, was wir noch zu verstehen haben.
But we can definitely see here, yeah, these 2 horns that get held, one time here in the altar of burnt offering and one time here in the altar of incense.
Auf jeden Fall können wir sehen, diese Hörner, die zweimal zurückgehalten werden, hier beim Brandopferaltar und hier dem Weihrauchaltar.
Illustrating the daily and the day of atonement.
Und da stellt das tägliche dar, also das tägliche Dienst und der Versöhnungstag.
Yes. Okay. So that's at least some thoughts I wanted to just remind us of and just fix also in my own mind.
So, das waren einige Gedanken, die ich nur uns daran erinnern wollte und auch für mich selbst, dass ich sie im eigenen Gedanken festigen kann.
Okay. If there's no question, some other thoughts, and we can close for this evening.
Wenn es keine Fragen gibt oder weitere Gedanken, dann können wir für heute Abend schließen.